Okay.
Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the TMZ Podcast. I'm Branson Quirke.
I'm Edward Lewis.
And we are here again. We were here this morning live with you guys, and right in the middle of the podcast, our team ran in, said, verdict, it's coming. And of course, we had to get up and all go out there for that crazy newsroom chaos. The verdict was read out. Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty on 2 of the 5 federal charges in the criminal trial. He was acquitted on the 3 most serious charges. This is the shocking part, Ed. Racketeering, sex trafficking of Cassie, and sex trafficking of Jane. So he was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. The least serious of these charges, both a maximum of 10 years each charge that he's facing here. So a total of up to 20 years in prison. Again, max on those 2. So it could be a lot less than that.
Yeah, it's a nonviolent crime. It's his first offense. He doesn't have anything in his history. It wouldn't surprise me if this was days in jail, or I should say months in jail, or months in prison, as opposed to years. As we talked about on this pod a million times, I mean, I just don't think the prosecutors ever made their case well enough to hit him on the 3 serious counts. They said repeatedly that he sucked, he's a bad guy, he did this and this, he's a domestic abuser.
Sure.
But at no point, in my opinion, did they ever reach a smoking gun sentiment that was like, yes, he was a crime boss who organized all this stuff and it was sex trafficked and all that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He was just seemed like a terrible guy. And that's basically what they hit him on was, he transported prostitution through state lines or whatever. So I think it's also important to note that these wouldn't necessarily be offenses if he had they'd be misdemeanors, I believe, if they were within state lines. So, they didn't really get him on much.
No.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
Which is shocking.
I was worried for a while. I mean, not worried for him, but I thought it was for sure at least he was going to get convicted on maybe one of the more serious charges today, because yesterday he whispered to his family, I believe it was, saying, I'll be all right. I love you.
Right.
And that was when I saw that quote, that's it's going to be wrapped up here. I'm going away for a long time. Sounds like that's possibly not going to happen. Obviously, sentencing is not happening today. This could happen as early as next week. We know that his lawyer, Mark Agnafilo, has asked to have him sent back to Miami, so released until sentencing, and give him a $1 million bond. Unclear if that's going to be granted.
Yeah, that's another part of the win, in my opinion. Now, as he awaits sentencing, I really don't see much of a reason to keep him behind bars. Yes, he's a flight risk. Yes, he has millions of dollars. But the crimes he's convicted of are non-violent crimes. They're not things that generally, it's not attempted murder or something like that, where he's a risk to society and a dangerous society. So I think it'd be, in my opinion, I've covered a lot of court cases over in the sports world, it'd be a little bit out of bounds to say, no, he has to remain in custody until the sentencing hearing based on what he's been convicted of. Is he at risk for transporting more prostitutes? You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's
and making him stay at MDC. I think he's continued to stay at in Brooklyn, which is a terrible place. I don't think that's a place for someone that is convicted on 2 nonviolent counts here. And
I think you have to take into consideration the time that he's already spent behind bars over this. I think at the end of the day, like I said, Diddy's probably going to go to prison for months, maybe not just a couple years over this. But the amount of resources prosecutors spent on this, and remember how adamant they were. Remember he was giving, we did 15 podcasts on this about what he was willing to give up in order to be out of custody until his trial began, right? I mean, there was millions of dollars on
24/7 surveillance on him.
He even offered to see no
house
women
arrest
whatsoever.
No women.
And they were like, no, absolutely not. This guy is a menace. And here we are. And what he's convicted of is frankly, I think if you ask any average human being, they'd be like, yeah, it's legal, but like, I don't think we'd have to burn him down for this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
I mean, being out there in the newsroom, and when this was read live, I've never been in the newsroom when something as big as this is being read out. Seeing Harvey Levin's face when we found out count 1 was not guilty, the pure shock in the room at the time.
It's interesting, though. He's been one of the guys that is one of the few in here that have been kind of in my corner that, like, there was never a smoking gun regarding the big charges. It was just a parade of people that went into this courtroom and was like, Diddy is a terrible human being. And it's like, okay, well, where is the racketeering? And yesterday they brought up the Kid Cudi thing with the Molotov cocktail, but that read more
Some of that was scaled back and in the end simplified for the jury.
But it more read like Jealous X than it did crime boss organizing things to make money and, and have this whole enterprise. And they never did it. And Harvey, to his credit, went up there at the show every day. And Derek and Jason Beckerman pushed back a lot on him. He's like, I'm just not seeing it. And like I said,
they got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm the sports guy, so I'm not as in deep as the rest of these people are. But man, every star witness came out, and it just never was beyond a shadow of doubt, which is what you need to convict them, that this is what happened. It was just a bunch of people that said, he's a bad guy. And it's like, well, is that enough to throw him in prison for 100 years? So
I agree with you, Ed. I completely agree with you. I will also, I do want to mention some of the details for our listeners that don't maybe know too many of the details about when the verdict was read, how Sean Diddy Combs was reacting when the verdict was read out. We know he was sitting with his hands clasped in his lap when they began reading through the verdict. When not guilty was announced for the racketeering conspiracy charge, he put his head in his hand. He did a subtle fist pump when not guilty was announced for the second of the 2 sex trafficking charges, and the last of the most serious charges to be read. When a deputy polled the jurors about whether the verdict read in court was correct, Combs craned his neck to look at them. And then after, obviously, we just talked about this, Mark Agnifilo said Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC, or the judge asked him that. Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC, and Combs vigorously nodded his head no and made prayer hands. So
yeah, we even got
who would want to go back there?
We got a court sketch that he was on his knees as well. At one point, like kind of and you can imagine the relief on his face. Facing a lot of time behind bars, and now significantly less.
How old is Diddy? Do you know?
His 50s, I believe.
He's in his 50s. So any type of even 20 years could be a life sentence for somebody.
I mean, he is facing that still. But again, like we talked about, I just can't see it. And especially I think everybody, even the judge, is going to have to feel like this was a bit of a waste of time, right? Or maybe not time, but resources. I mean, do you remember how much time they raided his houses and stole laptops and had a 9-week
I saw the
trial.
footage. The raid footage was ridiculous.
9
we all saw that.
Walked him in and out of a fancy hotel in handcuffs and made him stay behind bars over this. And then they have this trial where they failed. It's a colossal failure. And
but it's a win for you because you were right.
I mean,
it's a win for you in a sense.
It's not something I'm necessarily proud of. It was very interesting that all of this went down the way it went down. And I gotta imagine the DA and the prosecutors are very.
I will say too, the judge addressed the jurors at the end of this and told them it's up to them if they choose to speak about the case, saying that there is an important reason to respect privacy of your deliberations. He said, that being said, the choice of whether to speak to others about the case and your personal views is up to you. I really hope that we get maybe at least just one of these jurors on TMZ Live. Yeah, we got one from the Karen Reed case.
I have to imagine somebody's going to speak out, maybe TMZ Live, maybe somewhere else, but I have to.
Right. I imagine that they will, because I'm just so interested in what was going on in the deliberation room, especially when they came back yesterday and said that they were on either side for the RICO charge.
Yeah.
So what happened in terms of when they came to the decision to say not guilty on them as a unanimous decision?
In 2 days, it wasn't that long. So, I mean, I don't think it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot of contentious deliberation. I'd be curious, too, to see how I guess, contentious it was, and how was it, frankly, like, dude, the prosecutors just didn't do a good job, or, what factors went into it. But yeah.
And to wrap this up, the court will be back in session this afternoon. Diddy will be back this afternoon.
Right.
Again, I don't think sentencing will happen.
No sentencing.
No,
We'll
no,
just
it's
learn
not.
of whether or not he's behind bars until sentencing or whether
Right.
he gets to go home.
Exactly. And the judge did thank the jurors, saying they made a tremendous sacrifice, saying that they were here rain nor shine.
Yeah.
They were here for no reward, essentially. They just came, they did their civic duty,
Mhm.
and then they finished it up.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, wow.
Yeah.
It's over. And we
Yeah.
do have a poll up, by the way. Let us know if you are satisfied. Oh, we have the results right here. Our associate producer is putting these up. If you're satisfied with the verdict, no, 50%. Is that correct? 50%. 49% yes. So 50-50.
Basically,
Ed.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I thought was going to go into play here. I do not necessarily believe the prosecutors did a great job, but I thought that they did a great job of proving that he's a bad guy. And I think when you were able to prove that, does it really matter what charges he's charged on? And do you just get 12 jurors that like he's a bad guy, just throw him behind bars? And I think that poll kind of says that, right? Like 50% of people were like, man, I wish it was more because we all saw him beat Cassie on video. You know what I
Right.
mean? Even though that's not the charge he was facing, it's like, well, we should throw him behind bars anyways forever.
Exactly.
You know? And
Exactly.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, what if they give him time served?
Oh, they will for sure.
I mean, they might. That
It's
might
been
be
about
it.
a year, right?
A year. I believe so. I mean,
I could totally
that might be
see
it.
that. Yeah,
for him.
like
time served and probation.
exactly. Yeah, I really could see that.
Supervision.
Especially no priors. It's a nonviolent crime. Like yeah.
What do you think the first thing Diddy will do when he's free? What do you think the first thing he's going to do?
I would imagine eat, right? Like
Have a lavish dinner.
yeah,
No more MDC Brooklyn
yeah.
food.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing, man. I mean, if you're away from
Dinner with the
your
family.
food and your family, and
Miami.
friends for a while, yeah, I think
Yeah.
some kind of lavish steak.
Well, I will say we will be out tomorrow and Friday because it's going to be a long weekend. July 4th. Ed, what do you got going on
Not
during your
much.
celebration?
Just gonna
Of,
play some volleyball,
4th.
beach volleyball. You know?
are you staying in town?
Yeah, staying
Los
in
Angeles?
town. Yeah, staying.
Okay,
in town.
awesome.
Enjoyment. What do you got going on?
I'm heading out to Northern California. I'm from Gilroy, the garlic
Which-
town. My buddies are out there. We do some barbecue. We cook up some hot dogs, some hamburgers. My friends drink. I don't drink,
Oh, good for you.
but they drink.
Good for
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited.
Good for you. Sober fireworks.
And then I wanted to mention this. I know it's so unrelevant, but with July 4th is this weekend. There was a factory that blew up, a firework factory that blew up. That went viral. The footage is everywhere.
The irony, yeah.
I think it's up right now playing. Ridiculous. How does that happen this week? I don't
Right.
understand. Maybe someone did that deliberately. It's July 4th weekend. How does a firework factory explode?
It's good publicity
ridiculous.
for the fire factory, although it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's great publicity for them, showing that they cannot contain their fireworks.
Right.
Well, thank you, Ed, for coming on
Of
here.
course, anytime.
Sorry for the interruption earlier, and TMZ will be all over this, by the way. If you want more coverage of this, we will be back live on YouTube in the newsroom, I'm being told, around 12 o'clock with more details. Again, court is back in session this afternoon. Harvey will be on the live stream. Everybody will be on there with the new details. So, all right. Thank you, Ed. Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.